In 1942, the Huon Gulf was the natural gateway for the Japanese army to invade New Guinea and drive through to the goldfields to Port Moresby. The only armed force in their path between January and May were the 500 men of the New Guinea Volunteer Rifles. In the critical months through January to June, they were the keepers of the gate. They harassed and contained the Japanese. Their patrols and scouts were continuously in action. They were brave, stubborn, audacious, and incredibly fortunate.
They were people that had been recruited in the territory, spoke pidgin, knew the natives, knew the area, and they had a very fine scout group which were keeping tabs on the Japs.
The Japanese invaded Rabaul on the big island of New Britain on January the 23rd, 1942. NGVR were called into action.
I think they landed around about 2 a.m, something like that, around about that time.
I was on night shift. I came off night shift and arrived back in Bull, had breakfast and went up to my room. Just got into bed when 5 Zeros come over.
I had this attack of malaria, and as everyone evacuated, I'd never had malaria before. I just wanted to die. That's how I felt.
They'd shot up the 3 junkers on the Blolo-Drum and were turning to the aircraft carriers off lay. That gave me, that day I was a civilian, the same day I was a soldier, full-time duty.
Less than a month before the invasion of Rabaul and only days before the first air attack on New Guinea, the Australian government decided to evacuate all women and children.
We should have gone out on the MacDewey, but because of the inclement weather down the north coast of New Britain, we eventually went out on a little boat called the Ambon, which was owned by the Seventh-day Adventist Mission under the command of Captain Radley. Then we went back into Rabaul, had Christmas dinner in Rabaul, and then we got evacuated out on the 26th of December 1942.
The MacDewey, with all the women and children, left Rabaul, and we went down to Australia. From
memory, I can remember as a small child, I was only 3-year-old, but I can remember being in an aeroplane and with all the ladies crying, and then in later years I realised that they were crying because they might never see their husbands again or boyfriends.
We figured our father had died because he was left in Rabaul, but after we heard that he was alive and he had escaped, he'd gone right along the New Britain coast right down to Gasmata.
At this time, New Guinea had a large Chinese population. The Australian government did not allow the Chinese to join in GVR, nor were they included as part of the evacuation. When the Chinese Auxiliary Ambulance Detachment was formed, only 4 Chinese joined.
Because the Japanese come up, and the Japanese come now, you from your first day, you come to the bomb. Now, down I don't got the news, the Japanese come inside the Rabaul. All right, now all the people, you go outside the bush, make the house, make everything.
The Chinese were classed as non-belligerent, and it was considered they would not be harmed by the Japanese. In reality, this was not the case, and all Chinese inhabitants of New Guinea feared for their lives.
I go to bush, I go to hide the bush. The Japanese, I don't know, before they have the Chinese, they've been killing everybody. They don't even give you surrender, something like this. All right, I go to bush, now only go surrender, now only go to put them the rope, pass him on, after the machine gun, kill him the whole lot.
In 1993, Leo Cam On was finally presented with his long overdue service medals, as were Ben Chong and Su Ben Chong, the other 2 surviving members of the NGVR Chinese Auxiliary Ambulance Detachment. NGVR were provided fantastic assistance by the native inhabitants of New Guinea. On the back of this assistance was one of the most successful Allied raids of World War II, the raid on Salamoa.
There was 50 of the 2nd 5th Independent Company, and 21 of the NGVR formed the raiding parties, and they were formed into 6 or 7 different raiding parties.
Someone yelled out the Japs are coming, and I was told to go and advise the rest because we were in a valley.
All of a sudden the show went off. A Jap had come outside to relieve himself, and somebody fired a burst of Tommy gun into him, and that started the raid. The NGVR scouts had detailed all these positions where they were and what their sentry posts were, where their slit trenches were, and all this. It was all marked on paper and all formed up on a mud map we did at Camp Butu.
During the raid, Mel Bishop was hit by shrapnel whilst trying to avoid Japanese gunfire.
And it hit me on the shoulder, and of course I went down. And just as I got up again, the bomb went up in the house and it blew me across the road and into the sea.
We shot at whatever moved too, so it was one of those things.
The raid on Salamoa was the first successful offensive action by Allied land forces since the beginning of the war in the Pacific.
After the raid, when it was all tallied up, we accounted for 113 dead, counted, and all we had were 3 walking wounded.
On June the 14th, 1952, Colonel Rufus S. Ramey, United States military attaché, formally presented the United States Distinguished Unit Citation to Lieutenant Frank Holland of the Papua New Guinea Volunteer Rifles B Company Rabaul, in recognition of NGVR's assistance during the Pacific Campaign. The 500 soldiers of the NGVR had played a significant role in the conflict, resulting in the Japanese surrender. Shortly after the war, the Australian government formed the Papua New Guinea Volunteer Rifles, which was made up of expatriate Australians living and working in Papua New Guinea. They soon became a tight group of friends.
It was certainly the start of a very exciting part of my life. It was fantastic.
Most of the men were they were all Europeans at that stage. And finally, in 1963, 64, we were allowed to take the nationals.
PNGVR is very, very unique. First of all, it was raised on foreign soil in Papua New Guinea, and also it was disbanded on foreign soil in Papua New Guinea.
PNGVR members were required to undertake all kinds of tasks in their spare time in their capacity as a reserve unit. Quite often, danger was never far away.
There was lots and lots and lots of bombs still unexploded in and around Rabaul. And when I was in the Papua New Guinea Volunteer Rifles, I worked for the Commonwealth Department of Works on a grader, looking after the roads, and I would quite often dig up, the Japanese would bury the bombs in the ground with the fuse sitting up, and I'd hit them with a grader, and then they'd call in the bomb disposal experts to come and blow them up, and I got a bit of a reputation for a while as Master Blong Bomb.
One of my scout leaders was being hunted down this particular hill by a Sepix, and Holland and myself went up to rescue him. We got battered about a bit, but we finally brought him down. And we never opened fire, there's no need to.
Over the western border of Papua New Guinea lay the constant threat of Indonesian invasion. PNGVR was in charge of monitoring the situation.
We were always on the order of battle with the Pacific Islands Regiment.
At that stage, we didn't know what was going to happen on the other side of the border, and it was quite some time before we actually acknowledged as an army unit actually with the Australian Army. So PNGVR, I believe, would have been like a sacrificial force if the Indonesians had come across the border. We would have acted, in fact, exactly the same way as our fathers did in NGVR in Rabaul.
PNGVR had a significant role in Papua New Guinea's development as a country, training, educating, inspiring and guiding the expansion of the fledgling nation.
Well, it gave a definite sense of stability to each area. There was always the necessity of parades and also bivouacs, and they were well seen. And as far as government was concerned, we were an essential requirement. The real test came when we incorporated the nationals of Papua New Guinea into PNGVR.
Everybody wanted to join the PNGVR, and we were getting from all walks of life, all standards of education, and we had to sort of set a standard.
The result was amazing. We had blokes streaming in from all over the place. In the highlands and the lowlands and the islands. In fact, we had over 1,000 on the waiting list.
We inherited the battle honours of the NGVR, which was the Battle of Wau and Rabaul and the Southwest Pacific. On the colours, on the regimental colour, we have the background of green representing the jungle, and the centre part, instead of the Australian wattle, we have the Alberta's creeper, which is a common type of flower that grows in Papua New Guinea.
PNGVR was disbanded in 1973, in December 1973, on orders from Army Headquarters, and at the same time the 35th Cadet Battalion was also disbanded.
We just started to get our first officers coming through when the unit disbanded, which was a bit of a shame because on the disbandment there was a hell of a commotion in relation to, you know, why is it happening to us, why has this got to happen, and all that sort of thing, and they didn't realise that we're an Australian unit and therefore we had to be disbanded because of the situation of independence coming up.
We had to hand in all arms and weapons, and at that stage there were only 44 Europeans left.